And the doctor basically said I wouldn't live past 30, I would never have kids, and I would be disabled my whole life.
10 million albums worldwide. We have worked very hard. We have been in this business for 5 years. And we are broke as broke can be.
What are the dark secrets about the famous R&B group TLC that shocked everyone? Did their personal lives cause problems for the group? What happened behind the scenes that people didn't know about? How did the members like Chilli, T-Boz, and Left Eye deal with the struggles in their careers? Were there any shocking secrets about their relationships or finances that fans didn't expect? Let's dive into these hidden truths.
I'm the T-Boz. I'm the leggy Left Eye. I'm the Chilli. And that is on the TLC tip.
TLC is one of the most famous girl groups in music history, but their journey started in a simple and surprising way. It all began with a teenager named Crystal Jones, who was living in Atlanta. Crystal had an idea for a girl group that had a tomboy look and a hip-hop vibe, similar to a popular music group at the time called Belle Biv DeVoe. This group mixed R&B and hip-hop in their songs, and Crystal thought it would be a great idea for a girl group. Crystal reached out to find 2 other girls to join her, and that's when she found Tion, T-Boz, Watkins.
Well, T-Boz stands for my first name, Tion, and Boz is slang for boss, means Tion is the boss, T-Boz.
And Lisa Left Eye Lopes.
And my name's Left Eye because the eye is right.
T-Boz was from Des Moines, Iowa, but had moved to Atlanta when she was young. Left Eye, on the other hand, had come from Philadelphia with just a small keyboard and $750 in her pocket. Together, the 3 girls formed a group called Second Nature. They started working on songs with 2 producers, Jermaine Dupri and Rico Wade. The group didn't have much luck getting noticed until T-Boz worked at a hair salon. Through her connection at the salon, they were able to get an audition with Perry Pebbles Reed, a famous singer and music manager who had started her own company, Pebetone. Pebbles liked the girls and decided to rename the group TLC, using the first letters of each girl's name, Tion, Lisa, and Crystal. Pebbles then arranged an audition with a record label called LaFace Records, which was run by Kenneth Babyface Edmonds and her husband, Antonio L.A. Reed. They liked T-Boz and Left Eye, but felt that Crystal wasn't a good fit for the group. According to Crystal, things started to go wrong when Pebbles wouldn't let the group take the contract home to have it looked over by a lawyer. Crystal didn't want to sign without getting advice first, but in the end she was asked to leave the group. T-Boz and Left Eye both remembered it differently, saying that they had asked Crystal to leave before they even had a contract.
She said, "Girl, I got some good news and some bad news." And I'm looking at her like, where the hell you going with this? And she was like, "The good news is Pebbles wants us in the group. But the bad news is, girl, she don't want you in the group no more."
In February 1991, T-Boz and Left Eye signed contracts with Pebetone, and Perry Reed became their manager. As they searched for a new member, Pebbles found Rosonda Chilli Thomas, who had been a backup dancer for another group called Damien Dame. Chilli joined the group in April 1991, and the trio was complete.
Me and T-Boz, we were in a group, this other group, that was a group that auditioned for Pebbles. After we met Pebbles, the 3rd member didn't work out, and that's when we met Chilli. She was a dancer for Damien Damon.
To keep the name TLC, each girl took a stage name. Tion became T-Boz, Lisa became Left Eye, and Rosonda became Chilli. They signed a record deal with LaFace Records in May 1991 and started working on their first album with well-known producers like Dallas Austin, Jermaine Dupri, and Marley Marl. Their first appearance as a trio was on a song called Rebel with a Cause by Jermaine Jackson. And that's how TLC, the group we all know today, came together.
I don't find it surprising if you don't have the G's to bounce, 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 bounce.
Even though TLC was on top of the world, there was some tension within the group. Lisa Left Eye Lopes, one of the three members, felt like she wasn't able to fully express herself in the group. She was mostly given short rap sections and songs, and sometimes she wasn't included at all. She also wanted to sing on more songs, but background vocals were often done by session singers like Deborah Killings. Lisa spoke about this in interviews and made her feelings clear. In late 1999, she wrote a letter to Entertainment Weekly, publicly challenging her group mates Tian T-Boz, Watkins, and Rosonda Chilli Thomas. She suggested that each of them make their own solo album and see which one did the best. She even called for their longtime producer, Dallas Austin, to produce all the music and said their record label should offer a $1.5 million prize to the winner. The idea caused a lot of drama, but in the end, the group members worked things out. The challenge never happened, and they continued as a group after the fan mail tour. However, they all took some time off to focus on personal projects. Lisa was the first to start working on her solo career. She released an album called Supernova in 2001, but it was only released in Europe. The first single, The Block Party, made it to the top 20 on the UK charts, but when it was released in the US, it didn't do well. Because of this, the album was never officially released in North America.
What's your name?
Lisa.
And where you from?
9th Street.
Where you going?
To the party.
Even though Supernova didn't take off, Lisa had success with another song. She teamed up with Spice Girls member Melanie C on the song Never Be the Same Again, which became a #1 hit in many countries. On August 1st, 2001, TLC performed their hit song Waterfalls at MTV's 20th anniversary party. Sadly, this was the last time Lisa, T-Boz, and Chilli performed together as a group. Lisa started working on a second solo album called NINA and also began recording with TLC for their fourth album. But before she could finish either project, tragedy struck. On April 25, 2002, Lisa Left Eye Lopes died in a car crash. She was only 30 years old. Her death was a huge loss for the music world, and her fans still remember her as a talented and creative artist who brought something special to TLC. Lisa Left Eye Lopes was on a journey of healing before her tragic death. She often went to Honduras, a place where she felt peace and could reconnect with herself. But during her last trip, 2 terrible accidents happened that would change everything. Lisa had a rough childhood in Philadelphia, filled with struggles and pain. When she became famous with TLC, she found comfort in Honduras.
I guess the proudest thing in my career is the overall success of TLC. We've been through our fair share of turmoil and experiences, and I think we've done a pretty good job at sticking together at the end of the day.
She even owned a condo there and visited a healing center to feel spiritually refreshed. It was her safe place. On April 6th, something heartbreaking happened. Lisa was a passenger in a van when a 10-year-old boy suddenly stepped into the road. The van hit him, and sadly, he passed away. His family did not blame Lisa or her assistant who was driving. They saw it as a tragic accident. Still, Lisa felt deep guilt. She paid for the boy's medical care and funeral. In a documentary, Last Days of Left Eye, she held his shoes and said she would never get over his death. 3 weeks later, another tragedy struck. Lisa was driving an SUV in Honduras with 8 other people. Some reports say she may have been speeding. A car in front of her stopped suddenly, and Lisa swerved to avoid hitting it. The SUV flipped several times, crashing into trees. Lisa died at the scene, but everyone else survived. Shockingly, like the boy's accident weeks earlier, Lisa's crash was caught on camera. Some fans started to believe her death wasn't an accident, thinking it was some kind of curse or revenge. But there was no proof of that. Lisa simply lost control of the car. It was a terrible, heartbreaking accident. After Lisa's death, TLC never replaced her. Though the group had their ups and downs, T-Boz, Watkins, and Rison Chilli Thomas still loved Lisa like a sister. Did I get mad at her? Yes, Chilli admitted. But did I love her less? No. Lisa Lopes was only 30 when she died, but her music and spirit live on. She was a bright, talented woman who left the world too soon.
Coca-Cola cards and a smile.
Lisa Left Eye Lopes started dating football player Andre Rison in 1993. Their relationship was full of ups and downs. At first, they seemed happy, but things quickly turned bad. Rison was arrested for hitting Lopes and even fired a gun to scare people away from helping her. But the charges were dropped and they got back together. Then came the night of June 9, 1994. Lopes and Rison had a huge fight. Rison left the house and Lopes, in anger, set fire to his sneakers in a bathtub. The fire spread, and soon their whole mansion was burning down. Lopes later turned herself into the police. She was fined $10,000 and had to go to counseling. Rison was also ordered to get help for his violent behavior. But that wasn't the only trouble Lopes faced. In 1995, even though TLC had 3 hit songs, they had to declare bankruptcy. On top of that, Lopes had legal bills, and another TLC member, T-Boz, had expensive medical treatments for sickle cell anemia. Despite their problems, Rison forgave Lopes and even helped the group by giving each member $15,000 to pay some of their bills. With TLC struggling, Lopes decided to take a break and start her own production company. She signed a new girl group called Black, hoping to build something new for herself. The world loves a story about people going from poor to rich. But what happens when the story goes the other way? That's exactly what happened to TLC. By 1995, after just 5 years in the music industry, TLC had made an estimated $175 million. But when they checked their bank accounts, they had almost nothing. The group was so deep in debt that they had to file for bankruptcy. Fans were shocked. How could a group that sold so many records be broke? The problem was their contract. In a 1996 interview, Chilli spoke honestly about their situation. "We're as broke can be," she said, even though they had just won 2 Grammy Awards. Their contract with LaFace Records and Pebetone only gave them about 7% of every album sold. But before they could see any of that money, they had to pay for music videos, studio costs, promotion, tours, and any money they had received in advance. After all those costs, TLC was left with just 20 cents for each album sold, and that small amount had to be split among all 3 members.
We've been through our fair share of turmoil and experiences, and I think we've done a pretty good job at sticking together at the end of the day.
A report from the Los Angeles Times in 1996 showed that TLC only received about 1% of the $175 million they earned. That means they worked hard, sold millions of records, and still had almost no money to show for it. T-Boz explained that they didn't understand the full details of their contract when they signed it. They thought that once they became successful, they would get a better deal. But the record company refused to change the contract, no matter how many albums they sold. "Everybody treats us like stars now, except our own record company," she said. Because of their money problems, TLC filed a lawsuit against their record label and management. After a year of fighting, They finally reached a settlement in 1996. The group got a new contract directly with LaFace Records, and they were no longer tied to Pebetone. However, the details of the agreement were kept secret. This case became a warning to other musicians. It showed how young artists could be tricked into bad deals and end up making very little money, even if they were super successful. Left Eye spoke out about this unfair system. "I hope we go down in history for being more than just another famous act that got ripped off," she said. "This business is full of greedy people who take advantage of young artists." Luckily, TLC was able to recover. In 1999, they released the album Fan Mail, which became a huge success and hit #1 on the Billboard charts. After seeing how much money they were generating but not getting their fair share, they knew they had to act, but they didn't just sit back and complain. They took action. One day, T-Boz, Chilli, and Left Eye drove from Atlanta to New York to confront Clive Davis, the head of Arista Records, and Puff Daddy, now known as Diddy. They weren't about to let things slide any longer. They barged into a meeting where Clive Davis and Puff Daddy were discussing business, and they weren't afraid to make their voices heard.
I was like, well, F it, I'm going back and working with Dallas. That set him off. It was my idea, and so it just went back.
The group showed up with 3 tough women from their neighborhood. They made their way straight into Clive Davis's office, ignoring the usual rules of the music business. They even took the phone off the hook while Clive was talking, letting him know they had something important to say. In the meeting, the girls were serious. They weren't leaving without answers. They made sure Clive Davis knew they were unhappy with how they had been treated, especially after the massive success of their album. The situation was tense, but they stood their ground. They demanded answers and made it clear they weren't leaving until things were fixed. In the end, they took down the awards from the walls in Clive's office and put them in their truck. Now, about the rumored gun, no, they didn't pull out a weapon on Clive. However, there were some tough moments, and maybe someone had a gun outside, but nothing serious happened inside the office. The most important thing was that TLC demanded answers and made sure everyone knew they weren't backing down. After all this, TLC wasn't just asking for answers. They wanted the money that was rightfully theirs. They had generated millions of dollars, and they wanted to know where it went. Clive Davis said it was with Arista, so that's where they went to get it. They knew their work had made millions for the label, and they wanted their share. It wasn't just about money, it was about respect. As earlier, I did mention that T-Boz struggled with sickle cell, but she has always managed to keep going. In her new book, A Sick Life, TLC and Me, Stories from On and Off the Stage, T-Boz shares her journey of dealing with sickle cell disease, an illness that affects her daily life, and how she has overcome even bigger obstacles, like surviving a brain tumor.
And the doctor basically said I wouldn't live past 30, I would never have kids, and I would be disabled my whole life.
T-Boz says the title of her book, A Sick Life, means a lot to her. She explains, "It's a strong word, a sick life, because I've had it all. I was told I would never live past 30, would be disabled my whole life, and I could never have kids." But despite these challenges, T-Boz proved the doctors wrong. Not only did she live past 30, but she also traveled the world as a member of TLC, worked with the legendary Michael Jackson, and achieved things others thought were impossible for her.
So I superseded that, but as soon as he told me that, my mom looked at me and she was like, God has the last say so in your life. We'll talk in the car. So I was like, okay. So with my mom being so strong, I just never believed that doctor because I really...
T-Boz explains that TLC's music was always about more than just having fun. It was about sending messages that everyone could relate to. She says, "We talk about things that everybody can relate to, but we do it in a fun way that you can dance to." TLC's music was never about preaching to their audience. It was about making people feel like they were in it together. The battle with sickle cell disease affected her blood and prevented enough oxygen from reaching her body's organs. T-Boz explains, "If it's your legs, you can't walk. If it's in your arms, you can't even hold a pencil to write." Touring and performing with TLC while dealing with sickle cell made things even harder. There were times when T-Boz had to spend months in the hospital recovering from the pain and exhaustion that came with the disease. But despite all this, T-Boz kept pushing forward. After a break from the group, T-Boz and Chilli are back together to celebrate Lisa Left Eye Lopes' life through their music. "We keep her spirit alive throughout us and our music. You can feel her presence on stage," T-Boz says. TLC released their final album in June, and T-Boz has also been working on her own solo music project. Through it all, T-Boz has stayed focused on what really matters. "I just want to be remembered for the things that we really did in making a difference," she says. Her message is clear. Even when life gets hard, it's important to keep going, make a difference, and have fun while doing it. So on January 19th, 2015, TLC made an exciting announcement. They decided to release their 5th and final album, but this time, they needed help from their fans. Instead of asking for money from big music labels, they turned to Kickstarter, a website where people can donate money for creative projects. They set a goal of $150,000 and asked fans to pledge at least $5 to help fund the album. The response was huge. In less than 48 hours, they raised enough money and became the fastest funded pop project in Kickstarter history. Big names in the music industry also helped. New Kids on the Block donated $10,000. Other celebrities like Katy Perry, Justin Timberlake, and Bette Midler also gave money to help TLC. In the end, TLC raised a total of $400,000. This shows how much love and respect people still had for the group. In May 2015, TLC went on their first tour in 15 years. They teamed up with New Kids on the Block and rapper Nelly for the main event tour. This was a big deal because TLC hadn't toured since the year 2000. After that, they went on more tours, including the TLC 2016-17 tour. Even though their group was smaller after the death of their member, Lisa Left Eye Lopes, in 2002, they continued to make music and perform. They also wanted to bring Lisa's memory into their new music. However, they decided not to use any of her unreleased songs on the new album because it didn't match the sound they wanted for the album. In 2021, TLC celebrated the 25th anniversary of their album, Crazy Cool. This album was one of their biggest hits and has been certified platinum 12 times. To celebrate, they went on a tour called Celebration of Crazy Sexy Cool. The tour included special guests like Bone Thugs and Harmony. In 2022, TLC played at the famous Glastonbury Festival. In 2023, they joined Shaggy on the Hot Summer Nights tour, with En Vogue and Sean Kingston also performing. TLC's legacy is undeniable. Many people, including famous singers like Beyoncé, have said that TLC influenced their music and style. TLC's album Crazy Cool was a game changer in music, setting the bar for future female groups. Their music, like the famous songs Waterfalls and Unpretty, tackled serious topics like AIDS and female self-esteem, which made them stand out. Despite the loss, Chilli and T-Boz continued their careers and managed to rebuild their finances. Today, the two surviving members have a combined net worth of around $9.5 million. They have also started other businesses outside of music. TLC is also known for being the best-selling American girl group ever, having sold 65 million records worldwide. They are the second most successful girl group on the Billboard charts, right behind the Supremes. The group's impact on music is so big that they even received the RIA Diamond Award an honor given to artists who sell 10 million copies of an album. Today, TLC is still loved by fans around the world. Their music and message continue to inspire new generations. They proved that no matter what happens, a group that stays true to themselves can make a lasting impact.